Hey everybody, it's Joe from greenlightsound.com, and today we've got a really classic compressor combination, serial compression, one compressor after the other, that's used all over the place, but really especially on vocals. And the reason we're using two different compressors is because they serve two different purposes, do two different jobs, and are two different styles of compression. So the first one is the classic 1176 compressor. This is the universal audio version, but of course, there are a million 1176 models out there. You can use whatever one you'd like. Followed by the equally classic LA-2A. Again, this is the UAD version. There's a ton of others. But the idea is to get a fast FET compressor, which is what the 1176 is, with a slower optical compressor, which is what the LA-2A is. And the fast FET compressor kind of catches the peaks, and the slower optical compressor levels everything out. So let's look at the 1176 settings first, the fast FET compressor. You're going to set it to a pretty high ratio, usually 12:1, but at least 8:1. And you're going to go with a fairly fast attack and release time. Fast is to the right on the 1176. They're both set fairly fast. And it's already a fast compressor to begin with. So this is kind of really fast attack and release. And then you're just going to set your input. So you're just shaving off the top 2 or 3 dB in the loudest parts of the song. So just those peaks that pop out, 2 or 3 dB, cutting them down a little bit with a really fast attack and release and that high ratio. So once you have those peaks under control, you just set the LA-2A to whatever you'd want for typical leveling compression. And this one can be pushed pretty hard with a lot of gain reduction without sounding bad. So you're going to see some parts in the song where I'm past 7 dB of gain reduction on the LA-2A. And if you're not familiar with this compressor, the right knob here, peak reduction, controls how much compression is there. And we've got makeup gain over here. So just an easy 2-knob compressor. So the first thing I'm going to do is move these out of the way. I've got 2 copies of the vocal over here. And the one I have soloed up right down here is just the uncompressed vocal. Here's what it sounds like.
I can be your undercover lover. I can be whatever gets you through. I can be a superhero, deflecting all the things that they may say to you.
So I'm going to jump over to now the actual compressed vocal. I'm going to bypass the LA-2A and just have the 1176 engaged. And I want you to check out the VU meter over here just to see how it's catching those peaks in the vocal.
I can be your undercover lover. I can be whatever gets you through. I can be a superhero, deflecting all the things that they may say to you.
So it's not ever really going past 3 dB of compression, but it's catching those louder words. Then I add the LA-2A in, and you'll see how much compression I'm getting here to level things out.
I can be your undercover lover. I can be whatever gets you through. I can be a superhero, deflecting all the things that they may say to you.
You get both control of the peaks and the overall level from these two in combination, plus some of the sort of harmonic content that these plugins add. Because they are based on analog gear with analog parts modeled, you get some of that to-be goodness of the LA-2A. The next thing I'm going to do is kind of jump back and forth between these two channels. So you're going to hear the right channel here is the uncompressed vocal, and the left channel is the compressed vocal. So I just labeled them really quick. You got the dry vocal here, the compressed here. We'll start with the dry vocal soloed and just toggle back and forth between the two.
I can be your undercover lover. I can be whatever gets you through. I can be a superhero, deflecting all the things that they may say to you. And if you leave before the morning, just leave a note beside my bed.
So you can really hear how much more thickness you get to the vocal that is compressed and a much more even sound from it. Just listen to that first phrase, uncompressed first.
I can be your undercover lover.
And how much smoother this is.
I can be your undercover lover.
Now let's say you don't have an 1176 or an LA-2A model and you want to recreate this with stock plugins. Let's take a look at how we can do that now. The first plugin, this is the PreSonus Studio One standard stock compressor. The first one we have to set up kind of like the 1176. So I went with the 12:1 ratio just like the 1176 had. Went down to a pretty hard knee compression here. The attack I set to 0.15 milliseconds because we had a fast attack on the 1176, and the 1176's attack goes from anywhere from 20 to 800 microseconds, not milliseconds. That means that the attack on an 1176 is always under 1 millisecond. So 0.2 to 0.8 would be in the range we have. So I went with 0.15 because we were kind of fast setting on the 1176. The release on the 1176 is anywhere from 50 milliseconds to 1.1 seconds. And because we were on the fast side of the release knob, we're going with 82 milliseconds here. And then I just dropped the threshold down until I got the 2-3 dB of compression on the loudest peaks, just like I had on the original 1176 version. So let's just take a look at the gain reduction meter here on the right and see if we're in the right ballpark.
I can be your undercover lover. I can be whatever gets you through. I can be a superhero, deflecting all the things that they may say to you.
Just brought that level up just a little bit to make sure we weren't getting too much gain reduction. After that, I just put another copy of the stock compressor for Studio One, and this time I set it up like the LA-2A. The LA-2A doesn't have a ratio knob on it, but it's around a 4-to-1 ratio. A lot of the settings on LA-2A are kind of program dependent. I gave it a softer knee compression, so it's not quite kicking in so fast when it crosses that threshold. The attack on an LA-2A is set at 10 milliseconds, so that's what I put here. And the release is really kind of funky on an LA-2A and very program dependent. It's variable release, which it's 60 millisecond attack for the first 50% of the release, and then a 1 to 15 second release for the second 50% of the release curve. So kind of crazy, totally program dependent. I just set a release kind of slow. It's getting us in the ballpark for the LA-2A. It's not going to be exactly like it. So now with both of these compressors engaged, here is what we get.
I can be your undercover lover. I can be whatever gets you through. I can be a superhero, deflecting all the things that they may say to you.
And now I'll toggle back and forth again between the dry vocal and the compressed vocal. Remember this one, the two compressors are the ones on the screen here, stock compressors. Start with the dry vocal first.
I can be your undercover lover. I can be whatever gets you through. I can be a superhero, deflecting all the things that they may say to you.
So I think that I'm not really getting the compression I want here. It's a little bit too much. I can hear it breathe and pump a little bit. So I'm going to raise that threshold a little on the LA-2A style compression.
I can be your undercover lover. I can be whatever gets you through.
There we go. And now I'll toggle back and forth one more time.
I can be your undercover lover. I can be whatever gets you through. I can be a superhero, deflecting all the things that they may say to you.
And just for reference, one more time, we'll jump back to the original 1176 and LA-2A models and toggle them back and forth again, starting with the dry.
I can be your undercover lover. I can be whatever gets you through. I can be a superhero, deflecting all the things that they may say to you.
So while you're not going to get the tone from these compressors using a stock compressor, you can kind of get yourself in the same ballpark in terms of dynamic control. Those are obviously really clean compressors, the stock ones, versus these modeled analog style compressors. But you can sort of recreate a similar effect if that's all you have to work with and get close enough, and then maybe put a saturation plug-in after to kind of get that analog sound with the clean compressors in the stock version. But either way, it gets a lot more control in your vocal with this classic compression combination. A fast FET compressor, a slower optical compressor in combination, shaving the peaks first, controlling levels second. If you have any questions or comments, let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already, so we can keep you in the loop as to what's coming up next, and I'll see you in the next one.